What's up, everyone? Andy Cantu here from Lux Travel Hacks, and today we're going to talk about paying taxes with your credit card. Is it worth it? Is it a way to make millions of points? What's going on? How do you do it? Are there fees associated? All that kind of stuff we're going to talk about today. So let's get right into it. You can see here I'm on the IRS website. There are official processors that allow you to pay your federal taxes with credit cards. So we're going to start by talking about federal taxes like normal income tax. You can see down here you have a few different options. They have fixed cash fees for a debit card, or sometimes like percentage or whatever, $2. But in this case, we're talking about credit card, which is 1.82, 1.87, or 1.98%. So yes, obviously there's a fee associated with it. A lot of times when you're paying things that aren't necessarily credit card payable with credit card, they'll charge you a fee somewhere around 3%. You know, Venmo and PayPal charge you around 3%. Like, it's a pretty common number. So this is actually a much better arrangement because it's way lower, right? 1.8, 1.9. And obviously they accept different kinds of cards and whatever. But this is basically, you can just click through here and make a payment directly. And these are the merchants that we would use for this specific to federal income tax. If you were trying to pay state taxes, county taxes, property tax, whatever, these kinds of things usually have their own websites associated with them, like in that jurisdiction. And so they'll have their own fees, or they may or may not even allow it or whatever. But for this video, we're going to talk about specifically federal income tax and use these numbers here. So the most important question is, I guess, if you're going to pay it with credit cards, what cards should you use? Super important. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I talk about initially the biggest thing when you're playing this travel hacking game is to make sure you're using cards that earn transferable points. That means no cashback. That means no fake travel rewards cards, nothing from your credit union, things like that. You want things that earn points that can be transferred to partners, things like Chase Ultimate Rewards, American Express membership rewards, Citi thank you points, Capital One rewards. These are the big ones. So we're going to go over some of that. So I'm going to show you specific cards that I would use, and they're going to follow these concepts of transferable currencies, right? But before we get into that, the biggest thing to think about is you have basically two options, right? You can use this big spend that you're about to have for taxes or for property tax or whatever as a means to earn sign-up bonuses on new cards, which is going to result in a lot more points than if you didn't. In other words, like, here's an example of the first one I would start with. Chase Sapphire Preferred, earn 60,000 points after you spend 4,000 on purchases in the first 3 months. So normally those $4,000 of purchases would result in 4,000 points, right? But if you get a brand new card, they result in 60,000 points plus the 4K of spend, so 64,000 total. So obviously it is a way to, 10, 15, 20x, depending on the bonus, your spend, as opposed to just getting 1 point per dollar. So I would always recommend, if you have big spend that is coming in your life, renovations, taxes, anything, emergencies, whatever, like, you try to arrange it where you can open new cards, 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or whatever you want, and take advantage of that massive return on your spend instead of the usual 1 point per dollar, 1.5 points per dollar, or whatever. So first and foremost, I would say, of course, you want to be getting the right cards, but if you can arrange it where you're getting new cards, that will be better when you have big spend, especially if in your life maybe you don't have other big spends routinely. Maybe you don't spend 100K a month, or 50K a month, or 10K a month, or even 5K a month, right? Maybe you have really low spend, and it's even more important then to maximize those opportunities where you have big spend, like tax season, right? So anyway, sign-in bonuses by far is the best way to do it. And if you were going to do it that way, here's what I would suggest. I would suggest a Chase Sapphire Preferred. You get this bonus. I would suggest the American Express Gold as the number 2 card. Another very similar bonus, a little bit more spend, but 6 months instead of 3. So they just give you more time to do it. In this case, it's kind of irrelevant because you're going to hit it all basically at once. And lastly, I would recommend the Chase Ink Business Preferred card. This is 100,000 bonus points with 8,000 of spend in 3 months. Again, that may or may not be difficult to you depending on how much your taxes actually are, or it may be, really easy or whatever. And I know this is a business card. You may or may not have a business. If you're paying a lot of tax, you probably do. But if you don't, you're still able to get this card as long as you apply as a sole proprietor. And I talk about that in some of my other videos. But anyway, it's very doable and it's a pretty standard thing. So I would say those 3 cards. Obviously, that's going to result in 250K or whatever. We're going to do the math a little later in the video. But a lot of points compared to not opening new cards and using some existing cards, or maybe opening just one or whatever, right? So that's what I would do. If you were not going to go the sign-up bonus route, I would make sure you're earning points the max possible for a miscellaneous category, which is what the taxes would be. This means it's something that doesn't fall into something else like dining, groceries. It's not travel, it's not flights or hotels, it's just miscellaneous. That's what we call that category. A great card for this would be the Ink Business Unlimited. Chase also has one like this. That's the Chase Freedom Unlimited, which is the personal version. It comes with its own bonus and everything. You may or may not already have it, but the important part that I'm referring to here is this 1.5x. And I know I said no cashback cards, and this might be a little confusing, but the reason is that Chase has some cashback cards like this one that can be unlocked into points as long as you hold one of the other premium cards like the Sapphire or like the Ink Business Preferred. So basically this earns points just as good as the other three that I mentioned, and that's why I'm including it here. But the gist of it is good points on miscellaneous categories. This is unlimited 1.5x on everything. And another good option that you may or may not have would be the Venture X or the Venture X Business. This is a Capital One card that will earn 2x points / miles, whatever, interchangeably, on everything, right? So great for miscellaneous stuff like taxes. Of course, you're going to earn more points with the sign-up bonus version, but if you can't swing that for some reason or you just don't want to, make sure you at least maximize and get more than the standard 1x points per dollar and get at least 1.5x or 2x. So really, really important to kind of choose between those two methods, because then it may or may not matter what card you use. And what I mean by that is if you're doing the sign-up bonus version, it doesn't matter that this one and the Amex and the other one are going to earn only 1 point per dollar, because you're getting way more return anyway from the sign-up bonus, right? So we are not concerned with like the 1x, 1.5x, 2x. We're just trying to hit the bonus and get a big windfall of points, right? Versus the other method, you need to make sure you're maximizing the actual points earned per dollar, 1.5x or 2x, because you're not going to get a big windfall of points. So, yeah, I think that's a great start. Let's go through some of the math. So I made a little sheet here so we can see kind of what the two options would look like. So let's just say you had 20K, and it may not be all 20K federal income tax, but let's just say 20K of total tax spend, right? We saw that you can get it done for 1.8% credit card fee. So we're going to do this top line first, which is if you didn't open cards for a sign-up bonus and you just got 1.5x, how I showed on that Ink Business Unlimited. And then we'll walk through what that example would look like if you were to open a new card and get a big bonus. Or various new cards and get big bonuses on all three of the ones I showed you. The Chase, the Amex, and the other Chase. So let's just say 20 grand of spend at the fee that the IRS vendor will give us. That's the lowest one. It could, plus or minus. The total extra cost will be $364. That is the credit card fee that you're paying right here. So let's just assume you earned 1.5x on this 20 grand. That's 1.5 points per dollar. You will have earned 30,000 points. On average, using Lux Travel Hack strategies, I would recommend like a bare minimum redemption value of 3 cents per point. That may or may not mean anything to you right now. In some of the other videos, I go deeper into that, but we're just going to use that number as like an average baseline for what I would say the lowest worth is for these points. So those 30,000 points would be worth somewhere around $900. In my experience, a lot more, but usually not much less. So I think that's a good number to start with. So your profit, if you want to call it that, was $536. In other words, you paid $364 of fee, and you ended up with $900 of travel or travel value, or however you want to see it, meaning you profited $536 from this transaction, even though you didn't get new cards or anything like that. Even if you would have redeemed these 30,000 points at even more bottom dollar value, like in a credit card portal, which I tell you guys never to do, or in some sort of cash out situation or whatever, you will have probably broken even or made a little bit of money. So it's kind of like the mindset needs to be, I'm paying these $364 and I'm basically putting them into a travel fund that I will then use later. And the best part is this travel fund generally is growing in value, as you can see here, because that travel fund I paid to get these 30,000 points resulted in $900 plus of value. So a profitable endeavor, as you can see, right? But let's look now at the new card bonus version, which means you opened that Chase Sapphire Preferred, the Amex Gold, and the Chase Ink Business Preferred, and you used all three to split your tax payments across whatever you needed to pay. Same 20,000, same credit card fee, same total extra cost, $364 for the privilege of using credit card. But instead, this time we got bonuses from all three, plus you get points for the spend during that time, which was, the 4K required, the 6K required, whatever. So you would have earned, instead of 30,000, 240,000 total points. Using that same 3-cent valuation, those are worth 7,200 or usually a lot more. I tend to average somewhere around like 5 or 6 cents. So that's, about 6 times better than the portal will give you, 6 to like 8 times better depending on what you're doing. And that's my average across lots of trips, lots of flights, lots of hotels. So this is, in my opinion, a almost lowest value ever. And that's still 7,200 bucks. So in this situation, opening the new cards instead of just using existing ones or picking one to use, you will have made 6,800 bucks of profit. Your $364 travel fund turned into quite a lot, as you can see. So basically, that's all I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show you how to use the cards, right? Specifically for federal income tax, what cards to get. And again, remember the most important concepts, which are transferable points. Focus on earning good points, and your life is going to be much easier later. Don't focus on like airline cards or hotel cards or cashback cards, because then all of this math does not line up. Like, it doesn't make sense in the long term to do that. And these are just the factual numbers, right? So anyway, hope that was helpful to you guys. And I'll see you in the next video.